Papermaking in America, the history of the Escanaba Paper Company. The Escanaba Paper Company, previously known as Mead Paper and now a subsidiary of Newpage, was established in 1911. In the 1890s, hydroelectric power was being utilized around the world for commercial and industrial development. The first attempt in Escanaba came with a power plant at the end of Ludington Street and provided power to primarily run streetcars. The capacity of that venture soon became too small, so in 1907 a hydroelectric power dam was built in the Escanaba River. That structure was called Number 1. The Number 2 dam in hydro was built in 1911, providing power to establish the Escanaba Pulp and Paper Company. The first product the company made was pulp, formed into wet lap or folded blankets and sold to other paper companies. The first process of making that pulp was getting the bark off the wood. 2 drum debarkers were purchased from Norway. The debarker is a rotating drum into which pulpwood sticks are loaded and tumble through to remove the bark. Escanaba had the first drum debarker in the region. Mill people came from all over to see a demonstration of how it worked. They boasted of being able to debark 20 to 25 tons of wood in 10 hours. After the wood was debarked, it was sent by a conveyor to wood bins and then delivered to the stone grinders.
The stone groundwood mill, which was the origin of the pulping process here and the origin of the Escanaba Paper Company, was a process by which pulp was made by taking round blocks of wood of about 20 inches long and putting them by hand into a hydraulically loaded magazine that against a stone that ground the wood up. That was how the mill started, because of the power plants on the river and the stone groundwood process. That was before even any of the paper machines were installed.
The firm became the Escanaba Paper Company in 1919, and then the G.H. Mead Company became financially interested. The plant was leased to Mead until 1922. In 1920, 2 paper machines were constructed called Number 1 and Number 2. The plant manufactured newsprint until 1930. In 1931, sheet finishing equipment was added. This allowed for cutting rolls into sheets to be used for tablets, writing and drawing paper, and poster stock. From 1941 until 1945, the U.S. was involved in World War II. Many women joined the workforce while the men were away, and one of those was May Carlson, who started at the mill at age 18 right out of high school.
When I came in the mill, I started on Number 2 machine, wrapping those big rolls, and we had the old wooden clamps, so you had to hook the chains and clamp them down. That was all right. The rolls were all the same size, but once in a while, there was always one difference, and then you had to unhook the chains and hook them, get them all adjusted again. And we had to cut our own big paper. There was a big machine, and then we dragged it to where we wrapped these big rolls. Whatever came to work, it depends what the boss told us we were going to do that night. But then sometime I'd come in, and it would be the rolls with the paper mill. They made wallpaper rolls, and boy, you really worked in, because you'd get 8 rolls about every 15-20 minutes, and you had to get them all wrapped. Okay, we changed every week. We worked from 8 to 4, 4 to 12, 12 to 8 in the morning, and then the following week we were day shift one week. Then the following week we'd be on the afternoon shift, so we worked from 4 to 12. Then the next week, we worked midnight, 12 to 8 in the morning. And then we went back again to day shift. I know I didn't make $1 an hour, maybe, I don't know, probably 65 cents. Like I said, you lived on what you made. We even bought a house. We all knew each other, and it was like we enjoyed going to work, because we were like a big family.
In 1947, machine coaters were added to the Number 1 paper machine, and the mill began making medium-weight coated grades and dropped some other grades. On January 9, 1968, Mead made what is probably the most important announcement in the history of the Escanaba Paper Company. announcing plans to expand the Escanaba facility at a cost of $56 million. The new number 3 machine was to have a trim of 269 inches. It was built for producing lightweight publication grades.
The building of number 3 paper machine and the size of number 3 paper machine really set the stage for the Kraft mill, which came along in 1972. Up until that point, the only pulp that was made on site was made in the old stone groundwood mill and the new number 1 RMP mill. In the RMP mill, the wood was chipped and then fed in between rotating discs in a refiner, and that shredded the pulp or shredded the chips into a pulp. In 1972, when the Kraft mill started up, we also started up a new and larger and significantly better RMP plant to provide the paper machines with pulp. The Kraft process is a chemical process of taking chips of just about any species, hardwood and softwood, and chemically dissolving the cementing material out of the chip to release the fibers for future processing, primarily bleaching.
They were building the Kraft pulp mill at that time, and that has proven to be a very important decision for this location because it helps to make you cost competitive in your manufacturing operation. Initially it was designed for 600 tons a day of output, and through a lot of hard work by a lot of people here through the years, we've pretty much gone to around 1,200 tons a day. So we've developed the operation, and in the process of doing that, we also improved our environmental performance and our safety performance here, which I think we should be really proud of. This is a chart that shows Kraft pulping production rate by year, starting in about mid-1972. And the red line is the hardwood pulp production rate, and the blue line is softwood. We swing between hardwood and softwood here. We pulp both species. And as you can see, it shows a pretty good picture of how the people here at Escanaba have developed the mill and enhanced its cost effectiveness.
2 boilers were also built with the expansion, along with an automatic roll wrapper and other support units. The old groundwood mill was torn down to make room for the expansion. In 1980, Meade Corporation announced another $280 million expansion of the Escanaba mill, with $25 million of that being for environmental controls. This would be the number 4 paper machine, which would have a trim of 305 inches. This would be the largest single capital investment ever made by Meade. This again, like number 3, would make book and publication grades of paper. It not only doubled the mill's production capacity, it also made the Escanaba mill the largest paper-making facility in the Meade Corporation.
Okay, when I first started here, as far as the fire protection, which is one of our biggest jobs, any alarms that occurred, like your manual fire alarms or any smoke detection alarms, would all be gone into the boiler house. Now, why there, I have no idea. It would go into the boiler house, and the boiler operator there would summon the fire brigade, and at that time the fire brigade was a very small unit. Then they would actually go to the scene of the fire, whatever it was. A lot of times they didn't get the full information of what was going on. So, so when the expansion started, all of us decided that the best thing to do would have a centralized location, which would be the front gate right here, and that's where we have the computer now. And everything is tied into that computer now. So no matter what happens in this mill, if it's a manual fire alarm, a smoke detection, a halon system in our computer rooms go off, we know it. And we will immediately summon somebody to that area. So now they have a very large emergency team, and they're not just firefighters now, they're everything. And they get training all the time.
In the early 1990s, number 1 mill underwent a large rebuild with double coating being added, along with 2 super calendars and 2 rewinders. This allowed them to compete in the premium grades along with making sheet-fed paper.
The pulp mill here essentially feeds 3 paper machines. Our E1 machine, which was rebuilt with an $80 million project in the mid-90s, produces what's a heavyweight double-coated sheet. Our E3 machine, which was installed here in about 1968, that produces our medium weight grades, and our high-speed machine, which went in 1982, makes our lighter weight paper. And again, all of those machines have what are called off-machine coaters, which coats the sheet after it's produced on the machine. And again, with the speed-ups and improvements that have occurred on those paper machines, you know, in my career here, we went from making less than 1,000 tons a day of coated paper on up to as high as 2,400 tons a day of coated paper.
The most fun I had was in the mill, and I think the number of upgrades, debottlenecking projects, and things like that we did during the 80s and 90s, that was a lot of fun. And I worked the 12-hour night shift 7 days a week for 2 months, and quite frankly didn't know what day it was, didn't know if it was light or dark after a while, but that was the most shift work I'd ever done. Plus the fact that there were occasions when you worked 24, 36 hours in a row if there was a major problem that came up, and those happened. One of the major problems was a snowstorm where the state police were telling everybody to stay off the roads, and nobody could get home. The people that came into work, we put out the word that people that could get into work on snowmobiles, tractors, however, and that's what happened. People came in, and and the Buck Inn made soup in kettles, and we brought it out here, and people slept inside the mill and kept things going. We kept it running. Shutting it down in the wintertime could be a huge problem.
On January 30th, 2002, the company became Mead-Westvaco when the two companies merged. In 2005, the paper mills of Mead-Westvaco were sold to Newpage, and in 2007, Newpage purchased 6 of the Stora Enso mills and a research facility. It was water power from the Escanaba River that started the vision over 100 years ago. And today, the vision continues to grow as Newpage is currently the largest producer of coated paper in the United States.